Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Thea World, to our real life, real world project, hotel app and booking engine with Angular 6, Material 2, and Firebase Part 3. Now, in this part here, we're going to start creating our paths. We're going to create an app routing module, and inside this module, we're going to add all our paths and all our routing configurations for all the pages. Not for all the pages, but for many of the pages. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started here with going to our new tab, and we're going to open a new tab, and we're going to go to Angular, Angular.io. So what I wanted to show you here, guys, since we're working on the paths, we're going to click on Get Started, and we're going to go to Fundamentals on the left, click on Routing and Navigation. It's really important here because actually this page here explains everything in detail as to what we need to do. First, obviously, we're going to create our app routing module, and that's what we have to do. We got to import it from Angular router, and of course the constants in there. We're going to put the paths and our decorator ng module. We're going to add our configuration to our routing. Basically, how the routing works, the routing system. And then, of course, we have to add the router outlet to the app.html. So what we're going to do, we're going to get started on this. But before we get started on this, I want to apologize to you guys on part 2. I actually made a mistake, and I'm very sorry for that. I've been working in and out, and I'm doing this on the side as well. And my team is also going to be participating, is going to be helping us out later on with Firebase. And I just want to let you guys know that I'm very sorry for making this mistake, but it's part of the learning process, and it's a good way for you guys to also, you probably know how to do it, and maybe you don't, but whatever it is, I just want to show you where the mistakes are. The mistake, there's 2 typos. The first typo is here in the sign up. As you can see here, it says sign without an N, S-I-G-U-P, and it's supposed to be sign up, so it's missing an N. And the second mistake is on the other component, which is food-beverage. It's supposed to be food-and-beverage. So I'm going to get started with sign up first, okay? Now, here's the steps you need to take. Now, there's many different ways to do it, and of course, depending on which way you get started in doing it, you may get prompted from Visual Studio that, hey, we can may get an alert or some sort of a prompt, telling you that that Visual Studio can do the rest of the changes for you. But I'd rather do it like manually. And just follow my steps here. It's just a better way to do it, and you kind of understand the filing system better as well. It's good practice. So I'm just going to click on sign up right now, and I'm going to right click on sign up, and I'm going to rename it. And then I'm going to just type in at the N, the missing N, and I'm going to, obviously this is correct now, so I'm going to grab that, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to click away. Once I click away, it's going to save automatically, or you can just click enter. Now, inside the folder, the component signup, the signup.component.ts and the component.html and the component.ts, these 3 components inside the signup component, these need to change as well. So we're going to take them step by step. We're going to right click on component, signup component.css. We're going to click on rename, and we're going to just highlight the wrong word, and we're going to paste in the correct one, and I'm going to hit enter. And the second one, signup.component.html, I'm just going to click away just to make sure we don't make mistakes. Right click on that, rename. I'm going to grab that, I'm going to paste in the correct one, okay, and I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to click away, and I'm going to now click on signup.component.ts, rename, and I'm going to rename that as well. Now, if you're wondering why I don't have like a signup component.spec.ts, is because I've deleted it. And if you can delete them from all the folders you have, because that's absolutely not necessary for now. So now the second step, after you rename these, the second step is to click on signup.component.ts. These are the paths there to your templates. Okay, so you want to change that, like the app-signup, you want to change that. So we want to highlight signup and paste in the correct one. So SIGNUP. Same with the template URL. I'm going to grab the signup, and we're going to paste the correct one. The style URL for the CSS. We're going to paste it in. And then, of course, the class that we're exporting here, the sign-up component, is also wrong. So we're going to put an N after the G. Remember, this is camel casing. right? So you don't want to be pasting here. What you want to do is you want to click after the G there and put an N. In case you were following me to the T in the previous part, I'm very sorry. So now we're done with sign up, and we're actually going to go to Command S to save it. And then after we save it, we're going to close it. And the third step you got to do is you got to come back to the app module.ts. Remember, that's where we declared it, and this is also where we imported it. So we're going to find the import sign up component. Again, this is obviously camel casing. Now sign up after the G, put in an N, and on the path, this is the path to the sign up component. So we're going to select the sign up here because this is wrong, and we're going to paste in the correct one. And I'm sorry that these things show up and they blot your view. I just want to let you know I'm trying my best. And the sign up again, obviously here it's wrong, so we have to make sure it's correct. We're going to scroll down all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to find the declaration. The declaration sign up component is also wrong, so we're going to put an N after the G. So once we do that, we're going to save it, and now we're done. It's the 3 steps. We're done with the sign up, fixing the sign up. We're going to close this. Now again, if you had started from like backwards from here, you may get a prompt from Visual Studio telling you they're going to change it all for you. If you want, click yes or click no. All I'm saying is I'm just doing it my way, and that's the better way. So you have control of what's going on, and you know which files, and it's good practice. Now I'm going to close the app module.ts. All right. Now let's go to the next step. The next step is that we have a second mistake, and the second mistake is on the food and beverage. So the food-beverage, that's a mistake. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just click on the drop-down of the food and beverage, and of course inside the food and beverage there's bars and there's restaurant components. But in addition to that, like every component, the food and beverage also has the food and beverage component.ts and the food and beverage component.html, the food and beverage component.ts. I think I've misspelled the first one. It's the food component.css and then the component.ts and the component.html. So we're going to rename the first folder, the component, food and beverage. We're going to rename that. We're going to click on rename, and we're going to just I'm just basically clicking after the dash, and I'm going to put and I'm going to put dash again in food and beverage. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy from F to E this whole food and beverage thing. I'm going to click away, and it's going to automatically save. Now I'm gonna just come to here to the food-beverage.component.css, and I'm gonna rename this to food-and-beverage.component.css. So I'm gonna right-click on it. I'm gonna click on rename, and I'm gonna select again from F to E, just this part here. I'm gonna paste in the correct version. The correct naming. And I'm gonna hit enter, and the one below it, for the HTML. I'm going to click away from it just to avoid confusion. I'm going to right-click on food-beverage.component.html, and I'm going to highlight from F to E again. I'm going to paste it in, the correct words, and I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to select the component.ts, food-beverage.component.ts, and I'm going to rename again, and I'm going to select from F to E, and I'm going to paste it, the correct wording. food-and-beverage.component.ts, and I'm going to hit enter. And now again, that was the first step, and the second step now is to don't worry about the errors. That's normal. It's normal to have the errors, so we're going to fix it now. We're going to click on food-and-beverage.component.ts. We're going to open this file, and again, we have to fix, as you can see here, the selector is app-food-beverage. We're going to change that. We're going to change the food-beverage to food-and-beverage. Okay, I'm not gonna keep repeating myself, but you can see what I'm doing here on the screen. I'm gonna grab the food-beverage again, and I'm going on the template URL. I'm gonna paste in the correct one, and again the style URL, I'm gonna paste in the correct one. And again, in the camel casing here, when we're exporting the class food beverage component, we're gonna add after the D, after food, camel casing, capital A N D, and D is in a small case. So and, okay? Great, so we're gonna click on Command Save. We're gonna save it. And that's finishes our step 2. And again, obviously we have to go to step 3, which is the app module.ts. and we need to find out where our there's a series of steps here now, because the food and beverage, remember, it's a parent. Oops. The food and beverage is the food and beverage component is also a parent folder where the bars and restaurants lives. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll all the way to the top. All right, now we got a bunch of errors because we renamed our components. We renamed our food and beverage component. Okay, so let's take this step one step at a time. Food and beverage component, this here, this needs to change. We need to add the and. So we're gonna put capital A, camel casing, N, D, so food and beverage component. Now, of course, obviously, the food and food dash beverage, this is wrong. We have to correct that. So I'm gonna paste in the correct one, which is food dash and dash beverage. And again, the same here. Let me just highlight this. And I'm going to paste it in. So that's correct. We fixed this food and beverage component. Now remember this highlights. Now remember the restaurant component. If we look over here, I'm going to just make this a little bigger. Sorry if I'm going too slow for you guys. Some of you guys may know this really well already. Now the food and beverage component has two components as well. The bars and, or whatever, I'm just going to call this the parent directory of food and beverage has bars and restaurants. So obviously these paths are going to be incorrect for bars and restaurants. So since we're inside our app module.ts, and as you can see here on line 10 and line 11, this is the restaurant component, and the obviously the path is incorrect. So I'm gonna highlight the food and beverage, and I'm gonna paste in the correct words: food dash and beverage. Now the restaurant folder and the restaurant.component, that's correct. We don't have to touch that. The food and beverage here again in the bars component in line 11. Okay, that's the wrong path. We're gonna paste in the correct food dash and dash beverage. Now we're fixing this here, and we're gonna scroll down to the bottom. There's nothing to be fixed because again, the bars and the restaurants components, that's correct. It's just that it's living inside that parent directory that was named wrong. Okay, so over here, again, I apologize. Yes, we do have to go to the declaration and find our food beverage component, and we have to fix this and add and. A, capital A, N, D, camel casing. And we're gonna save it, command save. Okay, command save, and we're done. We are done. So we're gonna close this app module.ts. Now, in case you're wondering, oh, the paths in the bars module.ts, I'm gonna close this. In case you're wondering, oh my gosh, what if that's wrong? It's not, because it's a relative path. You go to bars in bars here, and you go to bars component.ts. You see over here, that's just a relative path that goes, hey, go to bars.component.html. So there is nothing wrong with this. This is fine, and I'm going to close this. And so is the restaurant as well. The restaurant, if you go to restaurant component.ts, that's also correct. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to minimize that. So we're done with all this, and I'm sorry that part 3 had to be part of it had to be in fixing mistakes from part 2, and we're gonna jump right into the paths. Okay, we're gonna jump right into the paths. I'm gonna go back to my browser, and I'm going to, as I was saying earlier, we're gonna create an app module. We have to create an app module, app routing module. And there we're gonna add all our paths, right? Okay, so first things first, we have to open Visual Studio in apps, inside the folder app. We are going to create a new file, and we are going to name this file app routing module. So we're gonna create a new file, and we're gonna call it app dash routing dot module dot TS, and we're gonna hit enter. app-routing.module.ts. Hit enter. I have a really bad speller. It's just like really bad. I used to think it's nothing wrong with it, but in fact, everything is wrong with it. You should always be careful in how you type. It's a bad habit when you just type carelessly, and even when you're chatting with someone, when you just careless and you pick up those bad habits later on, and half the time I'm trying to figure out where I made the spelling mistake. So sometimes it's good to pay attention, and that's what I'm trying to do. So we're paying attention here. We're all on the same track. We have to create our app module, and what we have to do is we have to create our ng decorator and create our constants. Okay, just like what the documentation says here. We are going to import the router module and the routes from Angular router. And we obviously have to import the ng module as well from Angular core, obviously. And in the constant app routes, we have to add our declaration. Our paths. And then our configuration goes inside the Angular, inside the ng decorator. ng module decorator configuration. Okay, so back to Visual Studio. We have to export a class called app routing module. So export class app routing module. Okay, so export the class app routing module. Okay, and then we're gonna add our decorator ng module, and inside our decorator is gonna go. Well, we'll just leave this for now, and we're gonna come back to it later. But we obviously have to add our imports and our exports for the router module, and well, no, I have to add the configuration inside there, right? The configuration for the routing, and then we have to import ng module. So we have to import ng module and the route. No, yeah, we'll do import ng module. From Angular core. Okay, and then import router we have to import the routes and the router module, right? So import the router module and so it's right here. Import import router module and routes from Angular router. So import router module and import routes. Okay, router module and routes from Angular routes. Right, so we import router module and routes from Angular routes. And next, after we do this, we have to add our configuration. So the constant app routes, we're gonna add all our paths here. So constant routes. So we're gonna add our constant routes. Add our array, and we're gonna add all our paths, right? So well, I guess we're gonna add a lot of routes, but for now we're just gonna do the main. A lot of paths. For now, we're gonna add all the main paths for the accommodation, celebrations, food and beverage, lifestyle offers, weddings, and they sign in and sign up. So I just want to let you guys know now before I get started with adding all this. I just want you. Oh, Angular routes, Angular router. That's supposed to be Angular router. Okay, sorry guys. Now I just want to let you guys know that I'm gonna be clicking on autocomplete because I've installed the correct extensions. So in case you see me clicking on autocomplete on something and it imports it automatically, just be aware that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm gonna do it slowly in the first like couple of paths, and I'm just gonna show you, and then you're gonna know. You can do it manually too. It's up to you, right? So let's start with accommodation. So I'm gonna go in here and type in. I'm gonna put in my. I'm gonna add my path, and after my path, I'm gonna add the component, accommodation component. So I'm gonna put in the path, and the path is gonna be accommodation, right? So accommodation and component. The accommodation component, and that's from no accommodation component, and that's in camel casing. You need to add the accommodation component, and oh, there we go. So here I was waiting for the okay. So here's the accommodation component auto import, right? So basically, if I click on this, it's going to auto import in the very top there. You could see now import accommodation component from accommodation.component, which is basically here, right? So there we go, right? So I'm gonna do the rest the same way. So then the next one is gonna be celebrations. I'm gonna put the path here. Celebrations. Is it celebration or no? Celebrations, correct. And component. Component. And it's gonna be celebrations component. Celebrations component. I'm gonna click on auto import, and it's gonna automatically import it. And next here on the next is going to be food and beverage, right? So path, food dash and dash beverage, and components, food and beverage component, auto import. Okay, I'm going to put a comma, hit enter, put in our curly braces, put the path, and next we're going to do the lifestyle. Lifestyle and lifestyle components, and that's the lifestyle lifestyle components. Lifestyle component lifestyle component auto import. And next is going to be our weddings path, weddings component, weddings is it weddings? Yeah, weddings component auto import. And next is going to be our offers, and after that we are going to be jumping into the sign in sign up. So now path offers components offers component auto import. And next is gonna be I guess we're done now. 1 2 3 4. So that's like yeah, that's lifestyle offers, weddings, accommodation. Of course we're missing the home page, so we're gonna have to create a new component. In the part 2 we didn't do the home page, so that's gonna be it's gonna be the route path. When you put a route path, you don't add anything, you just leave it blank. But we'll do that later. So now let's just continue on with what we're doing. Let's add sign in and sign up. Path sign in. Component. Sign in component auto import. And whoops, sorry. Path sign up, and that is components. Sign up component auto import. Okay, so we're done. We're done now with our paths so far. Of course, we got other paths, like for food and beverage. We got the bars and restaurant. We're not going to do that for now. We're going to do that later. Let's just save some honey for later, because this is this is the easy stuff. So, but now what we have to do is we created all these paths, and we obviously have to create our configuration. And for our configuration, we come back over here, and as you could see, in the ng module decorator, we have to add the router module for root and pass it an app routes. Okay, so to pass in the app routes. So let's do that. So we're gonna, I guess we're gonna do exactly what they're telling us here, and imports. Yeah, imports. I always put it singular. Imports our array, and in there we need to put the router module for root. Put in the router module. Router. So it's the router module for the root, and pass in the routes. Okay, so that's exactly what they did. The router module for root, pass in the routes. Forget the debugging. And then what we have to do is we have to export this, because whatever you import, you gotta export it. So exports. I'm sorry for the auto complete here. So we're all on the right track. So in our exports, we have to actually export router module. So I'm gonna export router module. Right? Yeah. And so we got this right. We got everything here, but we need to go to the app module.ts, and we need to add. We definitely need to add our app routing module in our. We need to import app routing module. So let's copy app routing module and go to app module.ts, and over here we are going to import consistency from. Well, we gotta put the path, right? Actually, no. First, we have to. Add it. Well, let's see what did they do here. I'm just forgetting here. So we obviously have to. Angular router. So obviously, if it's from Angular router, we gotta add it into our imports. Into our imports array. So we're gonna come here. I'm just gonna remove this for now. So we're gonna add it to our imports array. Of course, we have to add it to our imports array. App routing module, and we also have to not on our declarations, just in our imports array, and we need to actually import it here. Yeah, we did the right thing. So we need to import app routing module from the path app routing module. App routing module. So we import it here, and we also need to import it here, just like material module, the way we did material module. So we're doing app routing module. And then we're just gonna, am I making any spelling mistakes here? That's what I'm trying to look. App routing module, and that's correct. Now back to the app routing module.ts. I'm just gonna put some space here so it's easier to read. This is correct. And in our routing out router module for root, let's just come back here and double check what we have here, what they're saying. And yeah, we're on the right track. I believe everything is correct. So now we need to add we need to find the, yeah, so we need to add the router outlet. So well, I'm actually I'm kind of glad that I'm showing you guys this, because it's a way for you guys to also double check my work and correct me if I'm wrong, or if there's so this router outlet we need to add in the app component.html, so the router outlet. So we need to come back to Visual Studio, and as you could see, the error is gone. So this is a thing also, like a lot of times you need to trust yourself. Like when you're doing things the right way and you're following documentation, you need to trust yourself. And sometimes you just need to close Visual Studio, or some plugin or something is causing some sort of like some conflict. Not necessarily, maybe I'm not correct right now on what I'm saying, but in regards to the plugins, of course, it's good to always keep everything up to date. And sometimes you need to close Visual Studio and open it. I didn't close it, but sometimes it takes a couple of seconds for the errors to disappear. And it's a self-confidence killer. It kills your confidence when you have all these reds, and it's also a really amazing way to never have, to eliminate the bugs. Now we need to go to the app module. The app component.html. So we're inside the app folder, app component.html. Remember, we had our button here before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all this. I'm going to highlight all of it, and we're going to put the router outlet. So we're going to put the router dash outlet. And if we save this, we're in the app.component.html. We're going to save this. Now I'm running, obviously I have my integrated terminal here inside Visual Studio. Wow, I'm going to hide this. I'm sorry. Oh, so I'm inside my, over here, the Thea Hotel and the integrated terminal. And guys, I want you to know that I was running my application. So this was from before. Control C, clear, and I'm inside Thea Hotel. So print working directory. I don't need to do this, guys. You guys know how to get to your application. You got to be inside your application, and then type in ng serve. So I'm running the application from the terminal, and I'm going to minimize this. But in my integrated terminal, I can run commands, of course. So while this is loading, I'm gonna come back to my browser. Remember, guys, we completed the app routing module. So just to wrap things up, we imported ng module for Angular core. We imported router module. and routes from Angular router. We added all our paths. We imported all our paths, okay, for the pages that we want to see. And we also created our constants to tell in where the paths are located. So that's the name. These are the names, and then these are the paths, and these are the components. So we've done that. Obviously, we didn't do all of them. We just done the main ones. And we also in the ng module decorator, we also added our configuration for the routing. And then we exported the class app routing module, and then in app module.ts, we imported this like every module. Trying to make a YouTube video here. And then in the ng module, and the declarations, we didn't do anything obviously, but we added in the imports, or in our imports array, app routing module. So all this is going to work now. And we went now to the app component.html, and we added the router outlet. So we saved that, we save everything. We ran our server. Our server is going to error in app module.ts. Is not a module. What have I done wrong here? So let's come back here. Router outlet. Router outlet. Anyway, I'm gonna save this, and I'm gonna come here, and I'm going to write, so app dash routing module.ts is not, it's not a module. So perhaps this, perhaps because we didn't save something. So let's save this. That's been saved. Let's save that. Okay, great. Finally. So you see, guys, I do this all the time. I'm working on a file, and I'm working on it and working on it, and then I don't press Command S to save it. So always save your files. So we've done everything correctly here. We come here, and now we're gonna test all the routes. We're gonna come in. So we got the sign up, and we got the accommodation, and we got the lifestyle works. We got the offers. We have the weddings, and we got the sign up, and we got food and beverage, food dash and dash beverage, and that works. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching part 3. I'm really happy that we completed part 3. We're gonna move to part 4, and in part 4, part 4 or part 5, I'm gonna start pushing the code into Bitbucket, and I'm gonna show you how to set up Git and everything. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for following and for subscribing. Thank you for contributing, and please, if you have any questions and if you would like to contribute and be part of this, I'm doing this again for Thea World Foundation because I truly believe that we are going to build a beautiful, amazing programming bootcamp school that's going to be free for anyone who cannot pay for it, and it's going. Obviously, we're an agency, so. But we believe in sharing, and we believe in education should be free, and that's what I believe, and that's my vision. And I believe it's part of a responsibility as human beings and companies is to educate the world. Everybody should know how to program. Everyone should know how to develop a website or an application, small or big, whatever, but at least, at the very least, to know the concepts. And I'm really looking forward in meeting you guys on Skype, or perhaps if you would like to meet on another platform and have a chat and how we can improve this. So I'm going to be working also on the sketch files, and some of my team members are going to jump in later on to help me with Firebase. And yeah, so please stay in touch and be subscribed, and we're going to be publishing part 4 very shortly in the next few days. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial in part 4.